All right, hello everybody and welcome. We are getting started. Hey Vincent, how's it going? So I'm just gonna getting this set up real quick so I can put out an announcement, as is the way we do things. Let's see. Arizona, it is 5:40 p.m. All right, I think we're ready to get going here. So we are continuing the figure study. What is? Oh, okay, interesting. Okay, so we're continuing a figure study. We had a 100 figure challenge, 50 men, 50 females, and we are finishing up the female portion of this. And to make it even more challenging, more fun, we are doing just the last little bit, because we started with 30 from reference, and now we're doing 20 without reference, and that is what makes it hard, is 20 without reference. So we're doing our best to apply what we've learned and what we've been studying, and we'll be making mistakes along the way, but that's part of the process. All right, this is the first time drawing today, so it's going to start off kind of rusty, as it always does. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. I don't have any specific poses in mind yet. So, Vincent, you had asked me before, is it useful or would it be helpful to go to college? And I think that, I mean, really, it depends, because some people want the deadlines. You know, they want someone to say you need to have this done by this time, and if you need that, then it's incredibly helpful. If you can motivate yourself and get yourself a schedule, then you can do it yourself. I mean, there's so many less expensive ways to do a really good job with your training, and no business is going to care. No art business is going to care about your education. They're going to care about your skill. So this might be kind of a throwaway pose because I don't know I don't have an idea for a pose yet. Let's just twist things. So if you're going to do it on your own, though, you really, really have to make sure that you're actually studying effectively. 'Cause if you're not, you're just kind of wasting your time. And actually, you could be wasting your time even if you went to college. I did go for like one semester. I went to a game, um, a school where they kind of at the time they specialize in making games and stuff, and so that included the artwork for the game, and that's what I was going for. And I went for the first semester, and it was so bad. I actually forced myself, even though I was doing very well, I forced myself to quit before the finals, like before the final week, so I couldn't act. So I quit before I passed those classes because I did not ever want to come back, and I wanted to make sure that if I ever got tempted to come back there, I would say no because there's no way I was going to redo that first semester. And I'm glad I did that because I was tempted later on because I just wanted to work in the industry at the time. And every single person that I knew from that semester, every single one ended up with a lot of debt, and nobody made it into the industry. Not a single person. It was just a complete waste of time. I think this is just a throwaway sketch right here. So whether you go to college or not, ultimately you have to take control of what you're doing. You have to make sure that you're putting your effort into it. And really, for the game school that I went to, the people that succeeded were the ones that they did their own thing. Like they did their own projects. They pushed themselves. They learned a lot on their own. You know, it's not when you realize that if you put the effort into it, you'll be just fine. And that's the difference. If you put in the effort, see the one like there were also people there that really put in a lot of effort. Not the ones that I met, but um, there were some kids there that put in a lot of effort. They made it. They're the ones that made it. And that just goes with it with all this stuff, with all this artwork, all the potential things you can do. You just want to, have a passion for this process, and you just keep learning and growing, and you'll be fine. And see that's where it can be very helpful. If you do want to do it yourself, say you can't afford college, or you don't want some crazy debt, because some of these schools are so expensive. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But if you're willing to spend some money, you can get amazing classes for much cheaper. But again, you have to. Why is this not switching? Again, you have to have some self discipline there. And if you don't, then go to school, but you still have to work your butt off yourself. Like you have to really work hard on your own, no matter what. So I'm gonna turn off touch. There you go. This definitely feels pretty rough, but I don't warm up before I start these, so I just get right into it. So yeah, I would not take that as I wouldn't be scared because of that. I wouldn't take it that way. If you're putting in the effort, that really is what defines it. Well, one of the things that I think is incredibly important is to kind of what I'm doing now is where you study from reference. Let me straighten this out. study from reference, and then try to do it from imagination. So if you want to learn how to draw the muscles of an arm, like you can copy it first, like look at the arm, like look at an actual like the anatomy of the arm, and then you can look at it and draw it, but then draw it again without looking. See if you can do it from memory, and do it until you can do it from memory. That's effective study. And what I'm doing here is, I studied all these figures, and this was after studying the David Finch videos. So I try to see how he built his figures, and then I looked at reference, and I'm doing my best to apply. And even now, I can see some mistakes that I made. So I got better over time. And now I'm trying to apply that to my own stuff. So now I'm trying to make, not like, this is where it gets really hard. That's where it's gonna, like, these are gonna look the worst out of everything on this page because these were from reference, so it's easier. These are gonna look not near as good because they are not from reference. I'm just trying to make it up. But that's how you really test to see where are you with your learning. What do you need to focus on to get better at? You got to be honest with yourself. Where do you need to improve? And it's helpful if you can identify something that you do want to improve. That's very helpful. And another example, and this is kind of what I'm doing here, but like, again, if you were to study the anatomy of an arm, like if you looked at the side view, whatever, I'm sure there's a side view on here somewhere. If you looked at a side view like this, this arm right here, okay, you have like an anatomical breakdown of all the muscles, and then maybe you have the front view, more like this. You have the front view of the arm, right? So try to draw the in between. Try to draw the angle where now you're having to reinterpret, like you're having to reinterpret the muscles yourself and place them on the body, and that's going to help you to understand those forms. So it's things like that. It's playing with these to really understand all the ways these things move together. And that's really what I'm trying to do here. Is I'm trying to do this myself, to force myself to think through how everything works. This is a weak. I was going to have a punch, but this is a weak punch. It needs to be straight, more straight. And as long as you can work on a little bit at a time, uh, you'll get better. And I mean, you can't learn everything at once. So, like, if you can't do the figure, you can't do perspective, you can't do color. Just pick one thing and work on that one thing. Because you will just keep getting better and better, and you'll revisit things, and because you've gotten better at, say, perspective, you'll be able to do more complicated figures more accurately too. Like, everything kind of builds on each other, but you can't do it all at once. You kind of have to learn a little bit at a time. One of the biggest things is just make sure you're drawing a lot. Draw from life, draw from practice. When you watch a video on artwork, um, actually practice what they're teaching. It's like I used to binge watch, tons of videos and stuff, and it gives you a feeling of improving. And then I decided to start really studying the videos, and then all of a sudden a 20-minute video becomes a 2-hour lesson where you're really trying to really understand everything that they're saying. And that's a way more effective way. You watch less, but you study more and you understand more. Sometimes that can be a challenge because you don't want to draw things that look bad. Like I don't like what I'm drawing right now, but I'm just gonna just see what I can do with it before I kind of set it aside and do another one. See if I can make it work somehow. Definitely don't just copy, and then leave it at that, because copy by itself, you're not putting it into your own words essentially. Like you're not using the knowledge yourself, and you don't have a mastery over the knowledge until you can use it yourself. So I know what's wrong. I know exactly what's wrong with this. Okay, I gotta change this up. If she's throwing that fist forward, these legs are gonna be backwards, or these legs will be different than what they are. Right? Let's fix that. Because this leg's gonna come forward. See, and I know I've learned from doing this, like there's some specific areas that are kind of bothering me. So as I go deeper into anatomy and stuff, I'm gonna really work to fix some of these things. And then as I continue to study, I'm really gonna try to hit certain areas better. Hopefully that helps. I'm trying to feel these forms as much as I can. I still don't particularly like this sketch so far, but it is the first one, and I think it's still somewhat salvageable. I actually took an elective when I went to college for a completely unrelated degree, and I did have like art 101, and it was the most boring thing to me that I've like ever taken. So no, it's not necessary. I mean, art history does not teach you how to draw. It just doesn't. So if you want to learn how to draw, no, you don't need that. If you want to appreciate some of the people that have come before, then certainly that can be useful, but only for that purpose. It won't be useful for drawing. In fact, I would say the thing that's more useful with the old masters and things like that is actually studying them, which is different than, I mean, like studying their artwork, studying how they did it, not just studying about who they are. It doesn't help you become a better artist. Like they have a TV show about Pablo Picasso. And it's like, okay, that can be an interesting show to watch, but it's just entertainment. That's not teaching how to draw. So it depends on what your purpose is. Some people really get excited about all the history and stuff, and that's cool if they want to do that. It is definitely not necessary. The most important thing you can do is really master the fundamentals, which I would say figure drawing is one of those things. And then you just keep mastering little things, but make sure you apply it to your own projects. Make sure, like, and if you want to work for Marvel or DC or whatever, you want to do comics, then draw your own Batmans and things like that. Like without just like straight up copying someone else. Like it's okay to look at things for reference, of course, but it should just be for reference. Like there are some people, and I can't stand this. There are some people who will just take other people's artwork and literally copy over it, like they'll trace it. I found out a game that I like actually was the artist made it like that. He stole images from various artists and photos and all these things, and then he literally traced them, and then just kind of modified the image a bit and called it his own. And that's horrible. What a horrible thing to do. I don't ever want to do anything like that. That looks a lot better than what it did. I had the legs completely wrong. She was throwing and running with the same foot, the same side of the body, and that was not right. Okay, I'm not really focused on hands yet. I'm gonna leave that arm back there. See what my plan after I'm done with these 100. At the very least, what I plan to do is to do at least one study from reference and one study from imagination, or in practice from imagination every single time I draw, because this is a hard topic. So even when I'm doing my anatomy studies or whatever it is I'm doing, I'm gonna keep practicing this stuff daily. That's the only way to get good at it. So the cool thing is, especially now, like you're learning how to do this now. There's so many good resources online. There's so many. And even if you went through all the exact same stuff that I'm going through, which there are some that cost money in there, it will be a fraction of the price compared to going to college. At least here in America, I don't know how prices differ where you're at, but it's certainly quite significantly cheaper than going to college. And there's no wasted time like art history or any other number of things. Like college makes you do a lot of classes that are not actually useful for your job. Although they can be, I guess, useful for certain things, but I think in the long run it just makes them money because you have to take classes from them. Got to pay for it. Okay, how am I gonna do this? So I'm drawing through the arm to kind of help visualize, and it's gonna be completely hidden by the arm, except for right there. Just gonna leave that like that. Kind of guessing on this other side because I don't have a good frame to build on. All right, let's give her a little bit of muscle here because she is punching. So her triceps would be activated. I will for sure. Yep. Um, as I get farther in, because I'm working on my own projects, and I don't know if I'll do a full live stream soon, but I will be putting up videos of the process, more like a time lapse. I will be doing that, so then you can see a sped up version of it. But eventually, as I get farther in my studies, yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more things like that. I mean, it's not all that different than what I'm doing now. It's just you go from this to putting some values and paint on it. I think her legs are short. Her legs are short. Yeah, I think they are. If I made them just, I think I'd look better if I make them a little bit longer. Just a small difference. I always like to remember on the ankles that the ankles go, it's more down on the outside, and then the calf is more down on the inside. Helps to get everything right. Yeah, just a little bit. Learning these little tiny construction tips can really save you, make your work better. And my process for doing this, with pencil would really be the exact same. I would just be drawing a lot lighter. Just control your pressure, draw light, commit to a line once you're happy with it. So now I gotta move this whole back area. Uh, I should I should look and see if anyone's okay. I'm gonna send a test message through this restreaming program. Test. See if that works. Oh, that's cool. So I'm just testing a program where I get a stream to YouTube and Twitch at the same time, and it works. I'm pretty happy about that. It actually works. That's cool. Ooh, can I delete that message? That's interesting. Can I delete it through this? No, I cannot. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, that's super useful. Okay, I want to shrink the head a little bit. So, I mean, for me, the painting process wouldn't be all that different than what I'm doing here. This is just building things up. Eventually, I would go into doing the values and the colors and so on. But this layout process here would be exactly the same as far as the beginning of the process. All right, let's throw in some shadow and call this one done. Where shall the light go? Maybe maybe like this. I'm just trying to imagine where this would fall using what I know about uh, basically perspective. It's just the 3D shapes. If you can learn to think in 3D, it's super useful. I feel like I harp on that a lot, but it is so useful to know how to do. Like for me, I want to learn perspective just enough to make it believable. Because I'm not trying to be like a super technical artist where everything is absolutely 100% perfect, but I want to have it be I want it to be more intuitive, so I can just make it look really good pretty quick. Something like that. I'm just knock this whole leg back so it looks like it's going backwards. So are you considering doing college? Or are you just wondering like what's the best path that you can take? Yeah, actually, the next thing I'm gonna do. Are you meaning my next live stream or my next like regular video? Which one are you talking about? Oh, okay. So yeah, I wouldn't tell someone and like don't ever take college. I mean, really, you have to decide for yourself. I know for me, if I could do it again and I could take college instead of what I took, if I could take college for artwork, then yeah, I would have taken it. But now, I don't see a need for me to do it now. I just need to focus exactly on what I need. I don't know. I don't know what my next video is going to be. I have various things that I'm thinking of. If you have any suggestions on a regular video, we have a channel for that in the Discord if you want to post any suggestions. So I do have some thoughts on that, but the problem with the regular videos are they take a lot of time. Like they take a really lot of time. And I want to make sure I can actually study because I don't have a lot of time to make this all work. It's just very, very limited. So to make the most of my time, I'm hoping to do a lot of this, and then eventually we'll be also be working on projects and things like that. And then maybe like once a month or something, we'll put out a regular video. So I was gonna do it like once a week, but it just kills a lot of my time that I have. Like for example, I could do a video on kind of what I've learned about gesture drawing and figure drawing based on what I've got done so far in my little curriculum I'm doing. I have thoughts about motivation, how to actually use your time wisely, things like that. Things that people need to know, not everyone talks about. But for sure, as I go through these, I want to do recaps and lessons learned, basically like a lessons learned series based on my studies. Um, what have I already done? I really should have had like almost like story prompts, so I can have some better ideas and poses or something. Let's just kind of gesture out an idea. Just trying to think through how the shapes go together, how to get the overall idea. And then you clean it up. Clean it up as you go. So the process doesn't always look super pretty, but the end result, I mean, that's really, you're just going for the end result. And sometimes I mean, I don't know. I like the scribbling part of the process. I feel like once I get locked in to something, it's really hard to change that. Oh, there's my dog. Sorry about that. Good question. What do I think of NFTs? Um, the problem I have with NFTs right now is the fact that there's a lot of thieves stealing work and selling NFTs as their own. And that I have an extreme problem with. I'm extremely against any kind of pirating, stealing, any of that stuff. And these people are trying to claim other people's artwork as their own and then selling them online. And that's honestly, that's the first thing that really comes to mind when I think of NFTs, because there's been a lot of people affected by that. And then that's actually why I went to DeviantArt and I upload my finished pictures there just in case, because and I got a membership. I actually subscribed to them for the first time ever because they will check if your artwork has been used for NFTs. And I want to know so I can put a cease and desist out. Now, as far as the concept itself, I think it's kind of strange that people would want to own like a picture or something. I think that's very, I mean, like a digital copy of a picture like that and potentially earn a whole or pay a whole bunch of money for it for that exclusive right. Especially when anyone can still have a copy of the digital thing because it's not, it's digital. There is no true original, and they're trying to make it an original by having it tied to an NFT, so that the NFT indicates the original, and it's just kind of strange. I find the concept very strange. Having said that, if someone wanted to pay me a whole bunch of money for an NFT, uh, I wouldn't have a problem, as long as I wasn't going to use that for something else. Like why not? And I don't really know some of the complaints other than the stealing. I think some people they talk about it being bad for the environment. I honestly don't know anything about that. I honestly don't know. All right, this is a strange view, but I'm trying to challenge myself to do things I have not drawn before. So I mean, this really is working through the process, right? This is what you wanted to see working through the process. This is what it is. Trying to figure it out. Sometimes a small difference, small little change can be all you need to make it start looking good. Trying to put an arch on that back. I heard some people think that like NFTs is kind of like a big scam as a way to not a scam per se, but a way for people to like launder money and stuff. But maybe maybe that's true. I don't know. I don't know why some artwork gets sold for so much money. I think some of the stuff is like pretty crazy, but I guess I'm not the customer for it. I don't care for some of this artwork that goes for so many millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of the stuff it just looks bad to me. Just looks bad. So what do you think? Have you heard anything specific about it? Good or bad? Oh, don't forget to save. Don't forget to save. Okay, I'm curious what makes you want to go to college specifically? And do you think that will help you in your personal journey as an artist? Or how do you think it'll help you? I can't wait to really master the anatomy on all this stuff. It's gonna make this process so much better. Is there a really big toxic environment around it? I mean, besides the fact that some people are stealing stuff. Yeah, I hate the fact that people are just straight up stealing stuff. I just can't stand that. And the sad thing is, it's gonna happen no matter what. Like if you're on the internet, people are gonna steal it. It's just the way it is. Someone I used to follow online, she was drawing some pretty cool stuff and found out that someone from China had a whole clothing line with her artwork on it, and she couldn't do anything about it because it was in China. Like she couldn't. No one's gonna stop doing it. And they had like purses and clothings and all this stuff with her artwork completely stolen. Mm. Yeah, the networking part of it, that is probably the best. Like one of the two reasons to go to college would be networking, me having other people to talk to, and having those deadlines. So it gives you a lot of motivation, especially if you're drawing with them in real life, and you don't want to be like slacking. So it's gonna motivate you to do better. That's a really good reason to actually go. I wouldn't I wouldn't want to go crazy into debt for that though, because you can also do that online. It's just not, as nice as being in person. Although it will be easier, possibly, anyways, possibly easier to meet people that are doing more what you want to do. Like you can get the best teachers online, guaranteed. Whereas in person, it's hit or miss. Some of them are going to be amazing, and some of them are not. The hand might be a little bit big, but we're gonna continue with it for now. See, I like to kind of start messy and then kind of clean it up as I go, because the messiness just helps to keep me actually thinking of the form in a way. Otherwise, I just get so locked in that I can't. It gets hard to deviate. I did go to some college for artwork. Like I went to that game school, and I didn't really meet any real artists there. Really, surprisingly, I didn't. Um, in fact, the art teacher saw that I knew how to draw, and her response was, "Oh, you've done this before." And it's like, yeah, I'm coming here to master my skills. Are you expecting me not to know how to draw? And it's like no one. Oh, I was just really not happy with the level of effort by the people there. Not by everyone, but by a lot of people in general. As a general critique, they didn't put forth a lot of effort, which actually should be good for you, because if you put in a lot of effort, you'll do what they couldn't. They didn't make it not because they didn't have any kind of ability. They didn't make it because they didn't put in the effort. Simple as that. I'm gonna try out the ruler. Let's see. What if? Oh, the hands are not. I'm about to fix the hand angles. So if I do this, then another one. I'm gonna fix that hand. Oh, what happened? Okay, that's too wide. Let's make it thinner. There you go. I love the way this program does the ruler tool. It's so awesome. So I'm hoping that people will kind of watch this and we can talk and stuff, but hopefully they're actually drawing also. That would kind of be a bummer if they're not doing anything. I have to fix this hand now because it was not gripping. It wasn't properly gripping this. Do I watch anime? Not really, no. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not really a fan of the style, except the only ones I do watch, and actually I have a miniature for, is Robotech because I like the robots. I think they're awesome. That's one thing I absolutely love about a lot of anime are the robots. But I'm not a fan of the style. Like as far as like the people, I'm just not. I like the Marvel way of doing things. It's just my preference. And I really don't have time to watch TV. I always find myself out of time. Like I'm supposed to be watching a show with my dad, and now I'm 3 weeks behind. So I just don't have time to watch this stuff. And that's actually one of those things about managing your time. You know, it's like if I want to watch all these shows, I'm not going to get any artwork done. And I'm very much about doing business, so it's not just drawing, it's managing a business. It's trying to do a whole bunch more. I'm working on the blog on my website. I'm working on doing the YouTube videos. I had to learn how to do this. You know, that took a lot of effort. There's so much to this, and trying to talk on social media a little bit about this specifically, and yeah, and trying to ignore everything else so you don't just get sucked into looking at all the social media stuff that doesn't really help. You very quickly lose time, and so sadly, I don't get to watch like anything anymore. But if you really watch a lot of people on YouTube, eventually you'll find that a lot of them, the ones making the content, they don't watch a lot. They might watch a little bit. Like there might be some that they're hooked on some show or something, but mostly they're making things. They spend their time making things, and that's what I would rather be. I'd rather be the one making the stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm assuming since you asked the question that you do like it, and that's fine. You can like it all you want. Is there a certain one that you like though? Is there a certain one that's your favorite, or is there something about it that you like? Like what draws you to it? I mean, because like for me, it's like I like people that look more like this. Like these are more you know, Western style figures, and that's just my preference. So this is what I focus on. Okay, this, I probably had this too long. Let's cut this short. Oh yeah, what is it? I'm gonna move this over to give myself a little more room. Oh, the joys of digital. Oh, the actual name is One Piece. That's the actual name of it. See, when I the problem that I have is like when I think anime, and I know this probably doesn't apply to all of them. Like this is a very generic, broad brush statement, but there a lot of anime is like teenage girls in very short skirts and very sexualized, and I don't care for any of that. That happens in a lot of anime, and that's not my style. I just like the robots. Yeah, I think I'll pass. It's all right. It's not for me. Yeah, I'm much more into the Western style of drawing, but much more representative and realistic. Like even as a kid, I had a lot of friends that were into that, and I just never did. It just wasn't for me. And now it's way popular now than it was back then. But even then, I had friends who were super into it. There you go. It's not bad for starting out as a scribble, huh? I mean, that really is a good look into the process, going from scribble to something somewhat decent. I don't know if you know what this is. This is like old school stuff, but see, I have one of these on my dresser, and I absolutely love it. It is so cool. Let's go ahead and nail this down. It's going to be hitting. Yeah, that's from like the only anime that I really like. I think it was from the 80s. And there's a bunch of copyright issues with it, so there's actually two versions of the show. One that's more, I guess, Japanese, and one that's more American because an American company bought it. But there was a lot of legal problems with, I guess, how that went down. And so in America, it's Robotech, and then there's one. The original show is called Macross or Macross. I don't know which way you pronounce it, Macross or Macross. But in America, they bought three different animes and then they combined it into one convoluted story. But the original stories are still going on in the, or at least the original Macross is still going on, but it has like its own. It departs after the first, like, the original series. It completely departs. Yeah, a long time ago, but it's so cool. I still love it. All right, let's get some. I'm happy with that. That's pretty cool. I like that. I'm gonna put some shadow. There were some other copyright issues too, to where another company, BattleTech, actually copied a lot of the designs from that show as well. And they, I think, ended up getting in trouble and they kind of had to. I don't know if they redesigned, but they definitely had to hide those those mechs and change them or something like that. Long time ago, but so good, so good. Like Macross Plus, that was cool. Macross Zero was pretty cool. Love that stuff. I also own one series of Gundam, but it's like the more military one. Like I can't even remember what it's called anymore. But it's one that's way more militaristic, which is what I prefer. And as far as like the storytelling and stuff, I think I just gravitated to the to Western style of doing that. My favorite comic Western. So I grew up absolutely loving the well, I guess my favorite characters. I'll answer it that way. My favorite characters would be Captain America and Iron Man and Batman. Those are my favorite characters. Some people say that. Um, I think some people are being very successful, and some people are writing stories that people don't want to read, and so they're losing customers. And if you tell stories no one wants to read, then no one's going to buy it, right? There's a problem. Well, okay, if you want like what's his name? Hold on, just 1 second. I want to say it's Comicsgate. I can't. Is that it? Like they're doing their own things, and it seems like they're growing and they're doing good. But they're all independent, like people making their own stuff. But it seems like the big companies like DC and things like that, it seems like they're having problems. But they're putting out things like they want to have a gay Superman, and it sold really bad. Why? Because people, the fans didn't want that. Like that's not what the fans were looking for, but that's what they wanted to put out, and so they didn't have a lot of sales. So if you write stuff that no one wants to read, or not enough actual fans want to read, then yeah, you're gonna have trouble. And I think that's what's happening in a big way to comics. Just like Star Wars, yeah. So this is getting away from Star Wars a little bit, but still, it's the same topic that you actually brought up. Um, Star Wars is a franchise. Like when you put out a movie, you expect it to make like $1 bazillion. You expect it to make a ton of money, and when it doesn't, that's a real big problem. And the way they made the recent Star Wars, they pushed. an agenda into that story so much that oh, I lost. What happened? I lost some of the wetness. Yeah, that sucks. I'm still learning how to use this program. Maybe I'll just blend some of this stuff, manually blend it. Okay, so with Star Wars, it went from a thing where if you put out a movie, it was going to make a ton of money to that one about Solo actually did extremely bad. Like it lost money because people were so mad at the previous Star Wars that came out. I knew people that went to go. They even went to go see it, but they would pay for a different movie and then sneak in to see the Star Wars because they didn't want to give them their money. People were very very upset with what they did, and so if they had just written a good story, just focused on making a awesome story, they could have done amazing. All the Star Wars that they put out could have been amazing, but instead they just pushed an agenda. So that's what they get. And if the comic book industry is hurting, that's why they need to focus on interesting and good stories. I would be truly shocked if the comic book industry completely died, especially when you have other people that are doing independent comics and are doing very well. So we maybe we'll see a big company die off or something like that. But comics are not going to die. Oh, I'm subtracting. What a dummy. There you go. I think there'll always be room for comics. It's a similar argument to some people thought that. In fact, I thought that role playing games, like pen and paper role playing games, were going to die off, but they definitely did not. Like D&D has done very well. This is going to be 8, and it kind of made a resurgence, and now I think it's more popular than ever. And that was after a couple of years of doing bad. But now those same politics are leaking into that. So again, who knows? People need to focus on just awesome and amazing stories, and then people will buy their games and their products and their comics and their movies. See, this right here is improvement from where I was. Like you had asked me earlier, do I still struggle with stuff? Yeah, I mean, if you go back and watch this on fast forward, you'll see how much I had to change this figure to make it look anywhere near like it does right now. I was doing lots of little things to think through the problem, to think through the shapes and the forms and the proportion and everything. And I'm happy with it, and I want to be a lot better. So, all right, I actually think I have to go because I promised my wife I'd get dinner at 7. I just got started on this late, but I think we have to go get dinner. All right. We will talk to you later. Have a good night. God bless.